Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet Rayne, and my guest today is Samantha Gonzales. The first time I met Samantha was at my center in my store. She'd come in to do some shopping, and we just got to chatting and talking. And, she shared with me a deck that she had that had been her great grandmother's. And one conversation led to another. And before we knew it, she was a reader at the center and she was doing readings for people. And she's been with me ever since. She's a sweet soul. So Samantha is a fifth generation reader. She has a homemade deck. It's really a deck that her great grandmother got. And so we're going to talk to her about her family and what got her to do what she does today and the history around her deck, because I think it's really, really important. So welcome, Samantha, to the show.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm excited. This is long overdue.
I love having you on the show, and I love talking about your beautiful deck and the history. So share with us a little bit about how your family received this deck and, the generations that have worked with it.
Yeah, so I was actually talking to my mom the other day about it because I was telling her that I was going to be doing this. And I was telling her like what I thought was 150 years, but she thinks that it's more like 200 years old. So, my great grandmother was born and raised in the northern part of New Mexico. It wasn't necessarily Las Vegas, but she ended up residing in Las Vegas with my great grandfather. But I would say about between the ages of 10 to 15, she met a woman in her community that had just been released from prison. I'm not sure which one. But she helped take care of her. That was what we do, my family. We are, of service. So she helped the woman with any kind of daily duties. And in return for a thank you, she gave her this deck, which this is a remake. Miss Vialet was like, if you're going to do readings, we need to make a remake of it and have the original safe because it is very, very old. But they're all the same. They're all handmade. And what I assume that the original deck is made out of is like a thick cardstock dipped in wax and a fountain pen. As you can see, they're written in Spanish. But she gave her the deck as a thank you for, helping her. And as my great grandmother grew up and had children, they ended up migrating north into Denver and resided there. And that's where my grandfather met my grandmother. But my grandfather died before my mother was born. He had a heart attack and died and hit a tree. He had a hole in his heart. But he and my grandmother had my mother, and my great grandmother was very involved in my mother's upbringing. She took care of my mom, and my mom took care of her in her old age. And as a thank you for taking care of her, she gave her the deck along with a few pieces of heirloom jewelry that I inherited. And I came along a year after my grandmother passed. So my grandmother passed in the beginning of 1986, and I was conceived at the end of 1986. And then I came along, and as I got older, I became so attached to these cards. I would look for them and play with them, and she would take them away from me, and she'd be like, these aren't for you, and then she'd hide them, and then when she'd go out to work, I would go and find them, and then she'd be like, how did you find these? And I'm like, don't ask. And about 9 years old, she finally was like, fine, like, I'll teach you how to read them. So she taught me each card and the spread that she was taught, which I call now a 200-year game of telephone. And it's the same spread that was taught to my great grandmother and that was taught to me. And I've, with my own downloads with my great grandmother and the woman who created the deck, I've come up with new terms now because everything has changed. Nothing was what it was in 18 whatever. So forever I've just been reading anyone who would listen to me.
I love that. And for those that don't know, if you've ever seen the deck, like there's a card in there that's like mail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how often do we send letters anymore? And so I know Samantha has changed that to communication. It could be a text or an email, right? It's a part of communication. And so there are several cards in there that are a little different than what we do today, as you can imagine, after several hundred years, how we communicate and how we work together. She also has cards in there. There's a male and a female. And so when she pulls those, she can explain that there's a man or a female in your life that's influencing you. So the cards have that. And when I first met her, these cards are really amazing. And her readings are really amazing too on how she pulls it all together. But I was like, we can't have you do readings with these decks. So we got to figure out how we can make a duplicate of this deck so that you have it, so you don't have to worry about something happening to it, which it did. She had a copy of the deck and she was out at an expo helping me in a booth and ended up dropping the deck into one of our bags. So somebody took a bag home with a deck in it and she is freaking out all over the expo because it was the only copy that she had. Her original was still at home. She didn't have another copy. And so I think today she may have a couple copies of the deck just to make sure that she has a deck. Remember that? I remember you like,
Well,
oh my God, I can't find the deck.
it's something that haunts me.
Yeah.
But this card, for example, is one that in the actual deck is held together by tape on both sides. It's fallen apart. I even cut it in my deck to resemble the original, so that little divot that you could see is a part of the original deck. So I've tried to keep it as close to the original deck as I possibly can, and it still has the same energy. But yes, I am still devastated about that.
Well, a friend of hers was able to come up with some ideas on how they could make the deck again so that she would have decks to work with.
Yep.
And so, it's been a journey. It's not like when you lose the deck, you can go out and buy another one. There's not another one to buy, right?
No.
Not another one. So, you started this journey, and I think our center was the first center you'd ever done professional readings and got paid to do readings. And you've been doing that for several years now. Talk to us about your journey of growing in your gifts, because I know your gifts have grown over the last few years and how all that's expanded for you.
Yeah, so I've always been intuitive as a child, but I didn't really listen to myself or take heed. And then I had a really life-changing experience with my son's health, and that really opened me up to understanding how life works and what to be grateful for and how to think outside of myself, because I never did before him. And that was like the first of it. And then when COVID hit and we lost all of our jobs, you know, I was like, well, I need to think of something outside of, you know, how am I going to support my family? How am I going to offer what I have to give after, you know, losing job after job? And I lost a lot of jobs that were really important to me. Helping people breathe was one that was real. Like, I loved my job, helping people get oxygen concentrators. So how am I going to help people? How can I be of service still? And I just started looking into, you know, crystals. I had a little heart rose quartz my brother gave me, and then I started using my deck, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. My mom always encouraged me not to do it, to just, you know, this isn't something that we dabble in. This isn't something that we do. And I was like, I need to help people. I think I could help people with these. And I went to a few stores and I didn't feel comfortable. And then I met you, and because I was going over to go do a study or go to college at ACC. And I had 45 minutes before, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop in and I'm just going to see what's up and see how this feels. And I just instantly was enamored by DYSG, by you, by the space. I felt so good. And we had such a great conversation, and it was so organic. And like you said, that's where it started. And then being at DYSG, learning from so many wonderful readers and healers and teachers, from your classes to Corinne's classes, that really helped remind me of what I have inside of me, and what has been inside and what I've been given through my ancestry. I absolutely loved being a part of the shaman courses that she offers, and then just being with like-minded people who help me remind myself of who I am and why my being of service here is, you know, through my gifts. And then just staying on course and doing, you know, the due diligence of being in my magic as I have been taught and staying connected with myself. It's, you know, been life-changing.
It's really been amazing to watch your journey, because I love, and you know this about me, I get people that are really new to this, or they really want to do this, or they're really passionate, and really supporting them to find their way, their own personal way of their magic, who they are, how they can deliver, how they can bring gifts to the world. It's really important to me to kind of support folks, because you don't always have that. The world is so competitive and so restricted out there that, you know, a lot of these centers or stores or whatever, everybody's just very much, this is my client, very competitive. And we really don't try to do that. We really try to support and collaborate with each other and know that there's enough for everyone. And so creating that environment where people can flourish and grow is something that's really important to me. I love your readings. I've sat down with Samantha and gotten readings. And, you know, I'll tell you a story. My daughter works at the center, Nikki, and she is not of this world. Let me explain. She does not like her intuition. She does not like to do any of this, is not into any of this. And, you know, every once in a while she'll lean in and get a reading or a healing from someone, but she's really not. It takes a lot to really impress her, that she's like, wow, that was really powerful. And she's told me the story many times where she sat down at Sam's table at a fair and said, tell me what my purpose is.
In 30 seconds.
Yeah, in so many seconds. Tell me what my purpose is in so many seconds. And she walked away going, she blew me away. She told me what my purpose was in so many seconds. I mean,
Yeah.
it's true, right? I think most of us kind of know what our purpose is or have an idea, but having confirmation and somebody really putting it together in a clear representation of what that is important. And Sam does that. We have people that come back for Samantha's readings over and over again because her cards and her are amazing to put together. And I love watching her do her cards and her layout because she has a specific spread that she does with her cards and a different process that she utilizes with them that she's able to give you clarity. I don't think there's been a question anyone's asked you that you couldn't come up with an answer for.
I don't think so. If not, I always have my dowsing rods.
Right? She also loves my dowsing rods. So in the center, we always had dowsing rods, and Samantha loved to play with the dowsing rods. And if you've never played with divining rods or dowsing rods, they really like Sam. And so Sam would play with them every time she was at the center. You could ask it questions. And so her favorite question to ask her dowsing rods is, do I want sushi for lunch today? Yes, I'm going for sushi, Violet. The dowsing rods say that's what I want for lunch today. As I tell stories on you, right? But she would show people the dowsing rods because you could use them and say, where's Violet? And they would move and point to where that person was, or where's water, or
Mhm.
where's this. They would move and point. The dowsing rods really liked her. So when we liquidated the store last year, I gifted her the set of dowsing rods that she had played with so many times in the store.
Are a fan favorite at the house. Manolo calls them the stickies.
The stickies.
And we go outside and we find stuff in the yard and we point to the mountain. Oh, he loves the stickies. Yes.
The stickies. I like that. It's a new name for dowsing rods, right?
First time he said it, what are you talking about? He said,
The stickies. The things that move this way, right? Well, there's one belief that I have that everyone's intuitive. Everyone has these gifts. It really is about, are you flexing that muscle? Are you practicing? Are you utilizing it? And the more you utilize it, the more you work with the gifts, the stronger they get. The more accurate they get, the better you're able to do it because you get really comfortable. And so everyone has these gifts. It's just, is that something that you want to lean into? Is that something you want to develop? Is that something you want to grow? And so Samantha with her card, she's still one of our readers at the center. So she's there once a month, so you can come in and get a reading from her. But she also does classes and things at other places and fairs, so you can catch her at a fair somewhere along the way. So you can always go to her profile on our website and find how to contact her and ask her where she's going to be and what she's going to be doing so that you can have one of these amazing readings.
I do plan on doing more at the center. I have a lot of things cooking up that I want to do, a lot of circles. So this is something like I was telling Nikki, like this is the time for expansion.
It is. It is the time for expansion. It's a good year for that. I have to ask, how does your mom, since she originally wasn't really comfortable with you working with the cards, how does she feel about what you do today?
She is a complete 180. She is very proud of me. She also sees what you see and she hears feedback. She reads all my reviews. So she sees how my way of being of service to people is helping. So it's a complete 180. I'm really impressed that she's allowed me to do something that I think that was a part of me my whole life. I really believe, like, when my great grandmother passed, a part of her went into me, and she was like, "This is my time. I'm going to use these now. I can use these and be free with them, and not have any kind of any kind of backlash for using them," because she was very a prominent member of her church, and she was very a devout Catholic, but she also knew that these brought a lot of guidance and clarity and confirmation. That's what I
Yeah.
always, a lot of my readings, clarity, guidance, and confirmation. And she was very of service to everybody in her community. But this was a very taboo thing at that time, and I think now, with her being gone and a part of my intergalactic team, she is like, go forth and do what I couldn't do.
That's right. That's right. Times are changing. People are getting a little bit more open and comfortable,
It
you
just wasn't
know.
back then. It wasn't the time for it back then. And now,
Yeah. Now's the time. I agree. I agree. Now is the time.
Mhm.
Well, Samantha, thank you for being on the show today and coming and chatting with me today. I'm so glad that you were able to do that.
Thank you, Violet. You've always been such a wonderful mentor to me. Every opportunity is because you gave me a chance and you made me feel safe and comfortable, and you are my magic mama. I always say that.
Well, I think like you said, you wanted to serve. That's kind of my way of serving, is supporting people to be able to do this without being fearful or competitive, and just seeing them grow and blossom, because people have come through our center that are other places now doing this work. Some are still there and some have moved on, and we've gotten to make some amazing connections through the center. And so I really love the fact that it's been a place where people can connect and grow and learn, even as students. I've had people come in as students and take classes and go, "I'm not intuitive. I don't have any of these
Yeah.
gifts." And today they're doing this
Oh,
full
yeah.
blown. And there's not one person, there's many of them that have come and started taking classes and
That
are
was
now doing this.
one thing that I absolutely loved about Sundays was seeing the sacred priesthood class. Like, I started from when they started, and seeing them every month to graduation, it was just a 180 for those women. And I know a lot of men have taken your courses and have come out really connected and ready to be of service and fight the good fight for
Yeah,
humanity.
the mystery school, the priesthood class is very transformative. And so, people come in and they ask, and Samantha used to be also an employee, a staff person at our store. So she got lots of questions. They all did. What is the mystery school? What is that about? And it's hard to explain because the word is mystery. And the mystery of it is it depends on who you are and what you put in it and what you bring to the table, right?
Your magic.
Your magic, who you are. So if you come and you're struggling with finances, it's going to help you with that. If you come and you're struggling with healing, it's going to support you on that. If you're coming and you want to connect more, it's going to help you be able to do that. And so everyone gets something different out of it. It's a different experience for each individual, even though they're doing it collectively. And you can see that change, like Samantha got to see it from the time that they started where they were to the time when they finished. Now, here's the magic of that too, is just like everything in life, over time, you forget what it was like before. You forget what your life was before. And
Mhm.
so as they progress through all of these classes, which there are several, and it takes several years to get through all of them, they forget who they were when they started sacred priesthood, and how much they gained because they've integrated into their lives now and they're doing it without thinking about it. And so they think they've always been that way, which they haven't, right? And so watching people progress through priesthood and grow and expand and get really powerful tools for their lives is really powerful. And I love that Samantha saw that in that group of students.
It was amazing. It was so transformative and so inspiring. And I know just from taking the crystal courses, I still use that knowledge to this day. I still refer back to my books. I still my whole craft fair was inspired by what I learned in the crystal alchemy courses. So everything that I have been so blessed to learn through Discover Your Spiritual Gifts has prepared me to fight the good fight for humanity.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I think that's so important, right? And so that's really our purpose, is to empower people and help them transform and live the best life possible. So thank you for your feedback and thank you for hanging in there with me and being here today. And if you ever want a reading from Samantha or just to connect with her, reach out because she's amazing and I'm sure you will not be disappointed in what you receive. So definitely reach out and connect with her. Thank you, Miss Samantha, for being here.
Thank you, Vialet. I love you so much. Thank you for everything.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you for taking the time to listen or watch our show. Please like and comment. Follow us on your favorite platforms, and we hope to see you again in the future, either in person at our center or online. Have a magical, sacred week.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.